I do things like that. I put, I was expecting him to say, "Hey, folks, how you doing?" He's sitting there thinking, "Where in the holy enchiladas did Jim go to?"
He went to get that plate of enchiladas.
There you go. Folks, welcome to the show. The Messages of Inspirational Stories is proudly brought to you by the good guys at the 6minutewebinar.com. The 6minutewebinar.com enables you to get your message across. The one thing that you can do for that one person who is looking for, to you to see if you can solve their problem. And right now I am looking for the link for the 6-minute webinar, one of our sponsors. In addition to that, I want to give out a shout out to a good friend of ours, Mr. Bill Heinrich. Bill is the author of The 7 Levels of Truth. This is his book right here. Let me move that back a little bit. There we go. Always have trouble with the camera in my face. I look better now, right, Jeremy?
You do.
There we go. What a handsome guy behind the book, huh? Bill, this was 30 years in the making, and this book fits right into what we're going to be talking about today, because last week we covered, mindful eating and reducing stress. And today we're going to be talking about brain health. But Bill's book really hits the nail on the head when it says, this book is for anyone that is seeking answers and solutions to find success in life. Your birthright, see, we're talking about mind now. Your birthright is for you to enjoy love, peace, harmony, and the abundance of life if you make your mind up to it. It's your choice. And also, I want to give a shout out to my good friend, Mr. Austin J. Haynes. That's his picture right there. Handsome fellow there. And he invited me to put a chapter in his book, Your Health Turnaround Story. And this was all about physical health, and I was invited because of my heart attack deal. And so I just want to give a shout out to Austin J. Haynes. I'm very honored to be a part of that Flash Book series books there. And Jeremy, you are quite an entrepreneur yourself, aren't you, sir?
Well, I do have my hands in a few things.
Mm-hmm. He sure does. And that's his website there. As I say, get in touch with Jeremy at his website. His email is jeremy@yourbizprofitscoach.com. Tell us a little bit about Your Biz Profits, because that's always good food for the mind.
Well, yeah. So actually, I work with organizations and individuals to build healthy businesses. So I really, if I'm gonna boil it down into one sentence, I help people grow and I help businesses grow. So that's kind of my focus. I am a speaker. I'm a leadership development expert, team communication. I am a advanced behavioral analyst, in analyzing people's behavior and helping companies, and helping people to just make better choices to be overall better in their life and their business.
Well, thank you, sir. The reason why I asked him to do that, notice how much of that was mental he was talking about. He wasn't talking about getting new office furniture or new computers or anything like that. He was talking about, as Zig Ziglar would say, a checkup from the neck up. Yeah. And one of the other sayings that Zig used to say a lot, and I really always appreciated, he says, your attitude will determine your altitude in life. And Jeremy, briefly before the show, we were talking about, and I mentioned how some people, and we all know people that we call them hypochondriacs. They're always sick. I got to go to the doctor. I got to find a pill. I got to do this. And we've known people from all walks of life like that, because they are convinced they need outside help for an inside problem. Would you agree with that, sir?
Oh, absolutely. That is so true. And sometimes when we use that term hypochondriac, people might get a little bit offended or whatnot. But we got people that are on one spectrum of doing that are constantly sick all the time and always think there's something wrong with them. But then you also have, a little bit lower levels, but people that are still in their mind creating sicknesses in their body, right?
Yeah.
And so, we've shared before and talked a little bit about the effect of stress, on our physical well-beings, right? And I love what you said at the beginning. You said something that we're going to talk about brain health, right? But I want to make sure that we distinguish, that everybody understands there's a difference between your brain and your mind.
Oh yeah.
Right? They're two separate things, and a lot of people don't understand that, right? Your brain is like a hard drive. It's a computer, right? It just does all this stuff. But our mind is our thoughtfulness, and that's like the software that we put into that computer that is going to affect the rest of the network, right? And so as we dig deeper into this together, I just want to make sure that our audience understands that the mind and the brain are two separate things.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
not the same thing.
It's kind of like the app you download on your phone. Your app's going to tell the hard drive or the CPU, central processing unit, how to operate, what it's going to do, the results that it wants. And that's what the mind does. Hopefully I did a good job.
Computer's always as good as what you put into it, right? I mean, a computer is just a machine. It's only as good as what you put in it. That old adage, that garbage in, garbage out, it applies to our brain as well. If you got into our mind. If you got garbage coming into your mind, then you're going to have garbage throughout your network.
Yeah. And I like that saying that's been credited to Henry Ford. Many people have said it. And whether you think you can or think you can't do something, you're right.
You're right.
You're right. No, because the mind, not the brain, but the mind will not let you fail. And to give an example, we've heard this so many times. We've all experienced this in our life. How many times have we worried and worried and worried about something, or something's been in the back of our minds, been gnawing at us like a rat on cheese, and it never comes true? But there's also the fact that if you're expecting failure in life, your mind cannot produce success because you have not given it the proper signal.
Absolutely. I think that this is an often overlooked aspect of our health and our wellness. I think it's kind of ironic that a lot of people have heard that your attitude determines your altitude, right?
Yeah.
So in one sense, they agree, right? I know that if I want to be successful, I gotta have the right attitude, right? If you believe it, you can receive it, right? I mean, a lot of people think it, but then when it comes to our actual health, our actual wellness, for some reason we don't think that applies. So let me ask you this, Jim. I mean, how can I influence my success, and I can influence my business and my team by the way I think, but I can't influence the health or wellness of my body by the way I think? How does that jive?
It doesn't. That's a disconnect. That's a major disconnect. It really is. It's like turning on your flashlight in a dark closet and closing the door and wonder why you can't see the light,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that simple to me. Yeah. And
it is.
One of the things we've found, and studies have proven this, now listen up. People think PTSD is a mental state. And they try to treat it with medication, with failure. But the VA and other health organizations are starting to realize that your gut health, your heart health, and your brain health have to be in perfect harmony. That is a prerequisite. That's the foundation. Then, when it comes to your mind, you got to put the right apps in there to tell your brain how you want the results that you want in life.
Absolutely. And I think here's kind of it's almost like a loop, Jim, right? I mean, because our gut health and our brain health and everything will affect the rest of our body, but also likewise the way that we think will affect the rest of our body, right? And so it's this thing. So if we have like a mental trauma in our brain and we're holding on to those memories in a way that's not healthy, it's going to affect our gut health and our heart health and everything like that as well, right? Not just our psychological health, but our entire body. But likewise, if our gut health and our heart health and our brain health isn't right, in our mind we begin to develop these other issues that keep us sick, right? So it's like this loop. So you have to address the whole being, right?
Yes.
You have to make sure that you're making those choices that is going to nurture your body, but you can have really good gut health. And then when you have issues in your mind, this poor thinking, the stinking thinking is what I call it, right?
Yeah.
This stinking thinking, it can cause an imbalance in your gut health, right?
Oh, yeah. It has a domino effect.
Yeah.
It sure does.
So it can go both ways, right? So that's why when we look at people with chronic health issues or chronic emotional issues and whatnot, you want to look at the whole body. And that's what a lot of doctors don't do, right? That's what a lot of people in the medical profession, they don't look at the whole being.
A classic example is how many times have you seen something, got a phone call or something, and it really upset you and you got sick to your stomach?
Yeah.
That's the reaction that Jeremy is talking about there. And Jeremy, I shared with you this morning briefly on the phone, I remember reading back in the 70s. It really made an impression on me. There was a lady, and I've been thinking about what I read there, trying to recall the facts. She had terminal cancer. The doctors had sent her home. They couldn't operate. They couldn't use chemo. She was way past that. And originally, she just wanted to have a peace of mind. And somehow or another, the reader did explain it, but I don't want to say because I honestly don't remember, but somehow or another she knew that the mind had healing properties to it. So whether this was by design, whether she read something or whether she just did it, on her own, I don't remember, I don't recall, but she sat in a chair, rested her arms on the armrest of the chair, put her feet flat on the floor. And she didn't lean back and recline. She just sat straight up where she was nice and comfortable. She closed her eyes. And as she was breathing in the air, the oxygen, she was saying to herself mentally, good air coming in. And when she exhaled, she says, bad air going out. And as her mind was closed, her eyes were closed, and she was concentrating on that, she was picturing seeing the bad air going out like her breath on a cold winter day. And then as she began to drift, she felt herself drift a little bit in that mental state. She directed her healing thoughts down to the affected organs that had cancer. And 6 months later, the lady is cancer-free.
Yeah, that's an amazing story.
I don't know why that just didn't blow out through all the medical journals. Maybe it did.
Well, because think about it, deep breathing. What you're describing there is actually what we call self-hypnosis, right? It's you don't need a hypnotherapist to hypnotize you, right? You can actually teach yourself to self-hypnotize, right? And you go into that place, and this is exactly what we're talking about, that our brains, our minds actually control so much about our health, right? And there's more than one story of people who have overcome cancer, who've overcome MS, have overcome other autoimmune disorders, all through the power of what they're thinking in their mind. You can direct the energy to those parts of your body, and it's just a very, very missed thing. A lot of people just don't even understand the power of not your brain. Your brain's like a computer regular, but your mind in affecting your entire network. Here's something. In the late 1970s, there was I think it was at UC Berkeley. There was a Dr. Levine, and he did a study on the placebo, right? And what he did was he took 40 people who had their wisdom teeth pulled out. Now, have you ever had your wisdom teeth pulled out, Jim?
Oh yeah.
It's painful. It hurt, right? They give you narcotics and everything afterwards because it hurts, especially if you had them impacted and stuff like that. So this doctor, he took 40 people, and he gave them What he told them was painkiller, which was morphine, right? But it was actually placebo. Now, the 40 people who thought they were getting painkillers, their pain went away, right? Indicating the power of the mind, right, in controlling pain in the body, okay? But then he did something else. So he gave them pain relief with a placebo, so their own mind relieved their pain. And remember that our brain releases endorphins and all that stuff. Endorphins help to control brain. It's much like a narcotic in the body, a little bit of biology on how that works there. But then he gave these people what's called naloxone. Now, naloxone, if you've been around the last couple of years, you know that most police departments carry it now and everything, because it's what you use to reduce opiates or to reverse the effects of opiates on the body, right? So when somebody has an overdose of opiates, what it does is it reverses the effect of endorphins and opiates on the body. So he took these 40 people who he gave a placebo to, who got pain relief in their bodies, and he gave them naloxone, which is a reversal, and their pain returned in their body.
Wow.
And what did that prove? One, it proved that our mind, the way that we think, can affect and relieve pain in our body, but that it's not just in your mind. Once your mind does something, it does it in your body, your physical body. The naloxone reversed the effect of the endorphins that their mind had released, and then they return to a state of pain. So it's the power of the mind is just amazing.
Yeah, it really is. And I've read stories, a couple of stories over the years, and I don't remember all the details, but a guy, it was in an Asian country, and he was able to use self-hypnosis. He underwent surgery and didn't feel anything.
Yep. And
as I'm reading that story, ladies and gentlemen, I got to be honest with you. This is a weakness in my mind and the way I think. I'm thinking, if I don't think I could do it, so therefore I wouldn't be able to do it because I've already convinced myself I couldn't do it. But if I did, par for the course, my luck, I'd hear the doctor say, we didn't expect that. And I'd lose my concentration right there. I'd go to, oh my gosh, and I'd be in a world of hurt. But it's amazing, when you think about that. That's hard for the average person to wrap their minds around. It is for me.
Literally. I mean, we're talking about our mind, right? And absolutely right. One of my professors, Dr. Patrick Porter, he's actually one of the leading experts on hypnosis, self-hypnosis and everything. And he shares a story about how his dad was the one who got him into hypnosis, right? And so Dr. Porter, he had to have shoulder surgery, and they took a piece of his bone out. And he had his father lead him into hypnosis, and he had a piece of his shoulder bone taken out without any anesthesia and didn't feel any pain.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
it really is.
It's the power of the mind, And here's the thing. A lot of people, when you start talking about this stuff, people who are so ingrained in Western tradition and Western medicine, they go, that's a bunch of hocus pocus,
Yeah.
But more and more of what people consider to be legitimate authorities, right? And I use quotation marks because, who's to determine whether they're legitimate? But the Mayo Clinic, the American Heart Association, all that are all now talking about the effects of like meditation and pro-conscious medication on the health. Yeah. The American Heart Association, which I know that you are very passionate about because of your health issues, right? Yeah. They recommend meditation, and they specifically state on their website that it helps with lowering cholesterol, lowering blood pressure and other health issues. The Mayo Clinic, UC Berkeley, all of these different medical organizations are talking about how it can help to alleviate cancer symptoms, how patients with Parkinson's are seeing relief of their tremors, all because of what's going on in the mind, the way that you think, to get it centered, bringing in the breathing and focusing on those areas and letting it go through your entire body.
Yeah, because I just, some of you folks may have seen these ads out there that's going around now. You're you don't really need eyeglasses, and your eye is just a camera. And it's, the brain is what sees everything. It's kind of like if we hold up our cell phone and we take a picture of something and we, do whatever, then we can see it. And they have the spoon where they put over the eye and they tap it with another spoon. I haven't went there yet, but I've noticed that. And they did the same thing with hearing. The ear is just a receiver. It's a receiving antenna. And they have this spoon behind the ear and they tap it and all that. But what they're saying is very, very true. The brain is what captures all of the images from our eyes and all the sounds from our ears, and then lets us know what we see and what we heard. It's the brain. And I saw something here from Harvard Medical about mind and mood. And if it's okay, folks, I'd just like to share this with you. They wrote here, and I'm on the health.harvard.edu, topics mind and mood. The very first sentence really sings a lot about what we're talking about today. It says, your mood and your mental health affect every aspect of your life, from how you feel about yourself to your relationships and with others and your physical health. Wow. Says there's a strong link between good mental health and good physical health, and vice versa. In the other direction, depression and other mental health issues can contribute to digestive disorders, trouble sleeping, lack of energy, heart disease, and other health issues. How many times have we been worried or concerned about something and lose sleep over it? Or wake up in the middle of the night, 2 o'clock, and it's tick-tock, 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 going through your mind. We've all been there. Perfectly normal, perfectly natural, perfectly human, but it also lets us know that we are perfectly out of balance with the proper mental signals that we want to send throughout our mind, through our brain, to our bodies, and in the physical world. It goes together in perfect harmony. And on a previous show, I had a good friend of mine on. He's known as the professional patient. And Joel was telling the people he works with the VA that they're seeing now where the gut, the heart, and the brain have to be in perfect harmony just for the physical health. And today, Jeremy and I, we're taking it a step more. We're talking about the app that's operating this brain up here. And Jeremy, I was very impressed by you to find out that you are extending your knowledge and you're going to school and to learn more about, health and things of this nature. And I was wondering if you'd be kind enough to share that with us, please.
Oh yeah, so I'm currently studying to get my doctorate in natural medicine. And my really excited portion that I'm excited about and that I really enjoy is the mind part, the neuroplasticity, the neurolinguistic programming, the hypnotherapy, really just the power of the mind in our overall wellness. And my goal really is to help people to achieve their full potentiality of wellness, of health, right? I mean, we have this potential, every one of us, for a complete, total body wellness and health. And it all starts here, right? It all starts in the way that we think, and the way we do things. Because, I mean, let's face it, there are times when we need Western medicine, when we have acute illness or we need surgery because there's an injury or something like that. But the fact is that we know that across the world that, that the medical system today is just broken. And it's expensive. And a lot of people can't afford, they can't afford it. And so they continue to go down this path. But how expensive is it to change the way that we think?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not, and these methods have been used for so long for thousands of years, right? People have been achieving greater health potential yeah, through natural means. So that's where I get a little bit excited. But I love the fact that really your health, your wellness is your choice, right? You can choose to be healthy or you can
Yeah.
choose to be sick, right? And our choices develop our habits, and our habits develop our health. And so, that's the really cool thing, is that just because you feel one way today, you don't have to stay there.
That's right. Because I like what Bill Heinrich said in his book there, and I'm making a little note here I want to hold up here, just for the benefit of some folks out there in TV land. But Bill talks about, when you make up your mind to do something, always make options. And options allow you to have flexibility because you can't foresee everything. And by using options as a GPS on your map, this allows you to be able to make adjustments. And that's what we have to do. And what he's saying there, and what I'm trying to say there, is I have 41 thoughts in my mind going, is that don't let one simple bump in the road, one roadblock, derail you, depress you, or stop you. That's very, very critical. And as you were talking there, this came to my mind here, and I want to write this down because there's somebody out there in TV land that really needs to hear this. Imagine the power you would have in your mind if you sat and you closed your eyes in self-hypnosis and you decided you were going to do these three little words here. I left out a word here. Okay, I got to redo my card. Anyway, get out of debt. Think about that. Is that a worthy goal for you? Of course it is. Can your mind help you get there?
Yes.
It's the best friend you got. The best friend you got. It most certainly can. And I just wanted to share that with you. I got to redo my card here. But anyway,
Well,
it's a
and
thought that
that's a
counts.
great point, Jim, because not only can your mind get you out of debt, but I want you to think about this. What is it that got you into debt?
Amen.
It's the way you
Amen.
think, right? It's a thinking of that, my satisfaction in life is going to come from this, or my satisfaction in life is going to come from that. And so we go further, right? And so our mind really just controls everything. And it plays out in our finances, it plays out in our business success, it plays out in our health. And so if we can learn to condition, most people learned about Pavlov in school, right? Remember
Oh, yeah.
Pavlov? He conditioned the dogs, right? He rang the bell. They knew that food was going to come. They'd begin to sell, right? He did it over and over. That's called conditioning, right? And so,
Yeah.
so he conditioned them so that pretty soon, when he'd ring the bell, physiological changes would happen in the dogs. They'd start salivating. They all of
yeah.
a sudden became hungry, right? Physically in their bodies from hearing a bell ring.
Oh,
Okay?
yeah.
It would happen. And so it's the
Yeah.
same thing that we do to ourselves. We condition ourselves, right? And so
Yeah.
our responses in our body, our responses and our actions are based upon the conditioning that we've allowed to happen in our brains. So
Amen.
if you want something to change in your life, Jim, and this is for all of our watchers, if you want something to change in your life, guess what you need to change? Your conditioning,
Yes.
right? If you want things to be different, you think different, right?
Yeah.
And that's the hard part, because these things have been wired. It's actually it's an amazing miracle the way things, I get so excited, I'm sorry, but about the way things wire in the brain, and it communicates, that when there's trauma in the brain, something happens, your memories are nothing more than chemical reactions.
Yes.
Boil it down
Yes.
to that biologically. You remember the love of your life and dancing at your wedding and everything. All that is a chemical and energy reaction in your brain.
Yeah.
And so we change it.
You're exactly right. Why is it when we're riding down the road and a song comes on the radio and it takes us back to another time?
Mm-hmm.
And most of the times, those songs take us back to pleasant memories, fond times. And I've often thought about that. Why do we remember just the good times, the fond times, and all that? I mean, there's other songs that can remind you of the events that happened in your life that were not pleasant, but I'm talking about the parts where the songs remind you of good times, happy times. It's because even though you were worried about something, you survived. You made it. And that's why you cling to that because, hey, whatever I was going through, I mean, 5 years ago, we were all worried about something. But for $1 million, cash money, I guarantee you none of us could say, 5 years ago, what was I worried about? I know it wasn't growing old and getting ugly. I've had that in my hip pocket for decades. But you know what I mean. But yet, how many times in our life can we say we went one day, and didn't have any worries? I'm talking about the little worries too. If the dog runs outside, hope he don't get run over by a car. Our mind has the ability to jump to the dark side.
Yeah.
And that's where we need to recondition our mind and not let it run riot with us because we get emotionally out of control like that. And I love what you said there about the dogs hearing that whistle and they start salivating and all that. How many times have we heard our mothers say, supper time, and you know what's on the table. And you think about mom's homemade biscuits and you start drooling like a hound dog at a picnic.
Yeah. These, and that's what we're talking about. We got to change the way we condition because you're right. People want to go to the positive memories, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
when we begin to focus on the negative memories, or we allow the negative memories or thoughts in our heads to become the predominant thought, we're bound to suffer the consequences of it because the body doesn't want to stay there, right? That place of stress, that place of negativity, that thing is a bad place physically for the body. Right? It's not, they're connected. The mind is connected to the body. And so, and again, we're not talking about the brain. We're talking about the mind. The mind affects the brain and the hormones and the chemicals are released by it that go out and affect the rest of the body. Right. And so, the body in response to these thoughts, these negative, will do things like hormonal imbalances. It'll create cancer cells, right? In reaction to the thoughts that you're having in your body. It creates heart issues, right? It creates because it's like your body can't handle that consistent level of negativity and stress and fear and all that your mind, your thoughts are putting into it because there's just that huge connection. So.
Yeah. And Napoleon Hill made a comment, and notice he talks about the mind and not the brain. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. That's tremendous. That's powerful. And no one has control over your mind except you, unless you allow others to control your mind. But no one has the control over your mind except you. It's a powerful gift that you have. And all you got to do is be thankful for what you have. Instead of, getting up in the morning and complain about this, complain about that, thinking, well, I got more month left and I got money and I got bills, I got this, I got that. Give thanks for what you do have. Yeah. And I like to play that marquee there a lot, like to show it playing there, The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. It's about 30 minutes long, and I'm telling you folks, you need to treat yourself and it's an MP3 which has no video to it, it's all audio. Just plug that thing in, put your earphones on, lie down, close your eyes, and listen to the message.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
I love, I mean, this isn't, some people think this is a new age
No.
style of thinking, right? I know that you're a man of faith. I'm a man of faith, and really, I know that all of our audience has a different level of faith, but I love the fact that, in Proverbs 4, that it says, more than anything you guard, protect your mind,
Oh,
for
yeah.
life flows from it. Life flows from it. It flows from your mind. And so even thousands of years ago, they understood that you had to protect your mind. You guard it.
Yeah.
And what are you guarding it from? You're guarding it from that conditioning, those negative conditionings that you're allowing to come into it, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that, and I only put that out there because I know that somebody's going, oh, come on, this is new age. This is not new age. This
Not at
people
all.
have understood, philosophers have understood.
Yeah.
Whether you believe the Bible as being the truth or some kind of philosophy, either way, they knew back then, right, that the mind controlled everything, right? The mind did,
Yeah.
not your body controlling it, but your mind controls the body.
Yeah. A good analogy of that is that I grew up on a farm. We had 7 springs on it. And that was some of the freshest and coldest water, the most purest water I've ever seen in my life. And it was delicious. It really was. It was a sweet type of water. And in the bottom, it was moss covered, and it had little minnows down there. And the minnows and the ecology kept it all fresh and pure and clean. And obviously, no one in their right mind would want to pollute that spring. Well, your mind is like a spring. It's refreshing to you. And when you guard your mind, you do not let it get polluted with dark thoughts, with worries, with things like this, because then you don't have a pure mind that can send the positive, refreshing energy, not only internally, but externally. That's the key. And that's one of the things that The Strangest Secret is all about there with Earl Nightingale, because Earl, many years ago when I first heard about it, says, whatever you're asked, the universe cannot say no to you.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Well, here's the thing, Jim. You got people that say I have to see it to believe it, right?
Oh, yeah.
But that's impossible because nothing was ever seen without being believed first.
Right.
And so we need to flip that mantra in our head. I believe it, so there I can see it, right? And then when I can see it in here, I can see it out there, right? And so you have to actually flip the way that you think, right? And so changing what you believe. I believe. I love the story you shared about the lady with cancer earlier, right? Because what she was doing was, she was actually seeing, right, the healing happen inside her body. She was seeing that cancer leave the body. Right?
Yeah.
She was seeing that bad breath coming out and the new breath coming in. And after she was able to imagine, able to see that in her mind, she was able to achieve it in her body.
I remember reading where a doctor was talking about natural health, and he was saying that every living thing at the molecular level needs nourishment to survive. And he was talking more in the physical. He says, therefore, you take a disease like cancer, if you shut off the nourishment that cancer feeds on, it has no choice but to die. And taking it to another level, this lady with her mind, she was sending her own mental chemotherapy, if I could use that term, but she was sending the messages, the energy down there, which is electrical energy, down, and it was nuking those cancer cells. They could not handle the power of the mind. They really couldn't. That's exactly what happened. And I cannot prove that or anything like that, but I know that I know that I know that I know when I breathe in and breathe out, I may not see the air inside of here except on a cold day, but I know it's out there. I can feel it, you know. But it's just amazing how the mind can actually heal itself and heal you, all of you. Not only your physical issues, but your physical shortcomings, your worries, your doubts, your you can do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You sure can.
You know, not only is your body designed to heal itself, Jim. Not only is it designed to be that way, but it wants to be whole.
Oh,
Everything that the body does for every moment of every day is to keep itself in this perfect homeostasis of wellness, right?
Yeah.
But if you are not doing the things, I mean, we could talk about the physical things, the nutrients, and like that, but if in your mind you're not believing that you can be whole and healthy, your body can't override your mind. But your mind can influence and affect your body.
It sure can. And going back to what I saw here earlier with healthharvard.edu, they made this comment here, and I wanted to share this with you. It's on their website. It says, when mood and mental health slip, doing something about it as early as possible can keep the change from getting worse or becoming permanent. That's a pretty heavy comment there, isn't it? To think when your mood and your health slips, it can become a permanent situation in your mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I've known people that, I've known a few people in my life that the best way I can describe them, if they go outside, they're looking, where's the cloud? Or where's the bird that's going to drop, do some dropping on my clothes? Or if they see a rose bush, they do not see the rose. They look at the thorns and think about, wow, those things would hurt. They miss out on the beauty of living, the beauty of life. And it robs them in all areas of their life. Not only mentally, physically, but also, in their overall attitude, their mood, their outlook on life. I like what Bill Cosby said one time. He asked his grandmother about the glass half full or half empty. And he asked her, says, Grandma, is the glass half full or half empty? She says, well, are you adding water to it or are you taking water out of it? She said, nothing. It was just half full or half empty. She said, nothing stays the same. It's either going to get more water in it or less water in it through evaporation. Nothing remains the same. And because he was always, really loved her down-to-earth intelligence and humor. And nothing remains the same because no matter where you are right now, you've heard me say this many times on the different shows before, but it's a perfect place for you. Accept it. Take a deep breath and embrace it. This is where I am. Yeah. But I'm going to program my mind not to let this worry me, not to let this destroy me, but how can I use the power of my mind to adjust my mental GPS and navigate out of here on to greener pastures? You have that prerogative. You really do. And, in a previous show too, Jeremy, we talked about, we were talking about young people and myths and stuff like that, some of the myths. One of the myths that I've heard from young people, the reason why they can't do anything is because they don't have any money. That is a myth.
Yes.
100% myth. Because if it wasn't a myth, then how do you explain all of the rags to riches stories that are true stories that you can read about people's lives from all walks of life, no matter what they were up against? They overcame it.
Yeah, I think that's so true. And again, your position, whether it's financially where in your health is all influenced by the way that you think, right? It's all
Oh,
influenced by
yeah.
your mind. And I just want to kind of add something to your glass being half full or half empty.
Okay.
And this is what I would just encourage everybody to do. This is what I've taught for a long time, is that I don't see the glass as half full. I don't see it as half empty. I see it as refillable,
There you
right?
go.
And so whatever level your glass is at, whatever level that your health is at in your life,
Mm.
just look at it as it being refillable,
And there's
right?
room for more, right?
That's right. It's it's
Yeah.
it's just it's just that's the thing, is that who cares where it's at right now?
Hmm.
Let's
Yeah.
just let's just focus on continuing to pour into it.
Absolutely. And when it comes to your mind, is your mind half full or half empty? It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
There's always room for more improvement there. And, whenever you think about improving our minds, it's also about improving our mood, our attitude, our outlook on life. All of these work together in perfect harmony. Just like in the physical world, good gut health, good heart health, and good brain health is a prerequisite for good physical health.
yep,
They work together in harmony. And the same is true with the mind. The mind actually governs over all of that.
absolutely.
It
And
could be a
there's
good governor or a bad governor. Go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
exactly, no, that's okay. I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's okay.
I was gonna say, just for our audience, I always like to leave a few things that they can take away, right? And so, I
Hmm.
mean, it's great for us to share a lot of knowledge, but just a couple of things that you can do to just really improve your mindfulness, right?
Hmm.
And first is to actually set aside a little bit of time for it each day.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's in the morning or it's in the evening,
Hmm.
set a little bit of time, make margin in your schedule to be able to focus on your mindfulness, right? And
Hmm.
then find a little bit of place to get quiet and get comfortable,
Hmm.
and then just begin to focus on your breathing,
Oh, yeah.
right? Just take those
Hmm.
slow, deep breaths all the way in and all the way out. Close your eyes or look down,
Hmm.
and then begin to focus your intention. What is my
Oh,
intention
yeah.
for this time, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
and and really, if it maybe a root of a lot of illness is unforgiveness, right?
Hmm.
Maybe it's somebody that you just need to let go, you know
Hmm.
and so you breathe in,
Hmm.
and you say, I'm looking for forgiveness.
Hmm.
I choose to let it go, as you
Yes.
breathe out, right?
Yeah.
And then and you focus your intention in your mind, and you begin to let that out. I promise you that if you do that, even for 5-10 minutes, and start out small,
Mm.
you'll begin to feel in your body. There's something that happens inside your body.
Oh,
But
yeah.
make room for it,
Hmm.
set your intention, get your breathing under control, and then just will all of that down through your entire body.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
and you'll see a huge difference.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You're 100% correct on that. And, when you think about, your mind, and you think about your attitude towards things determines your altitude. Zig Ziglar proved that many, many times. And in one of I did not see this in person, but I saw one of his videos. He was talking about, we all know people complain. He says, if this person wants to complain, and they complain to this person, they complain to that person, complain to this other person, don't try to stop them from complaining. Don't try to, heal their problem, because they're going
Mhm.
to get mad at you, because now they won't be able to go out and complain to everybody else. That person needs to do a mental adjustment and clean up the cobwebs of their thinking. That's another one that I've seen a lot of people. Napoleon Hill talked about it. W. Clement Stone. Also, I'm trying to think about. There's one guy. I keep trying to remember him. He's a great speaker, and I followed him for many years, and his name's in the back of my mind. But they all talk about clean up the cobwebs of your thinking, because that's what attracts. Like a cobweb attracts dirt and dust. That's what attracts the dirt and dust
Yeah.
inside of your mental mind. And it shortens out all of your positive energy, because we're all energy. And when we
Yeah.
use that mind in the right way, and have the mind to be able to tell our brain, this is where we are, this is where we want to go. And it's just like, on your GPS, you put in your destination and the little voice in there says, coming up to 200 feet, take a right, or something like that. This is what we need to do. We need to get smart like our phones are. I don't even know why I said that, but anyway, because my phone is smarter than I am. What can I say?
Oh, yeah. I think that if our viewers can get anything out of this today, it's hopefully that they don't have to remain where they're at, right?
Not at all.
If you're experiencing obstacles, whether it's in finances or it's in your health, the first place to start is your thinking, right? And I love it that Napoleon Hill, his most famous book is Think. It wasn't you and if anybody has never read that book, he went to the most successful people of the time. This was back in the late 1800s, right? He went to the Carnegie and all them, and he interviewed and talked to them and to find out about their success. And he came down to it was all the way you think, right?
Oh yeah.
Every one of those successful people was because of the way they thought.
Yeah. And one other thing I'd like to say for the ladies out there, one of the things that Napoleon Hill found in his travels among the 500 richest men, most successful men this country had ever seen at that point in time, he said the most common denominator that each one of them had was a good mother. What does that say about our moms out there and the ladies out there in the world? My goodness gracious. We wouldn't be here without them, right? No,
That's
but really,
right.
They're just a tremendous inspiration. Our mothers, and we've all heard the old saying, "The hand that rocks the cradle will rule the world." And I think about my mom and the very positive impact she had on me, about the basics of life: respect, honor, honesty, integrity. Oh my goodness. And I know you can say the same thing. My dad, he believed in thump therapy to reinforce what he felt. And that's being a dad, But, when it comes to our mothers and the way these 500 men, the most common denominator they had that they referred to was their faith and, of course, their moms. I think that's a tremendous contribution that the mothers make, and it's also a tremendous thing for them to recognize the value that their mother brought to the party.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can all say the same about our moms. Well, Jeremy, our time's about all used up here. It's time for us to go. And my goodness gracious, Jeremy, it's been a pleasure having you again here on the show every Tuesday with our health and wellness show. And next week, we're going to talk about something. I don't know what it's going to be. Jeremy may want to let me know here. He may want to get back. We may want to surprise you. We may want to talk about lighting sticks of dynamite is harmful to your health. You'll only make that mistake once.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think what did we have for next
We had
week?
something scheduled there. I'm trying to think because I want to give the viewers a little bit of a recap there.
So we're going to talk about holistic approaches to healing, integrating Eastern and Western medicine.
There we go.
How to combine the two. What are some holistic ways to heal? And in fact, we kind of talked about one of them today, and that's meditating, right? But how to integrate really Western, Eastern traditions of medicine and how to make it work in your body.
Absolutely. So be sure and share the show with others. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for tuning in on behalf of Jeremy and myself. We're so thankful that you took time out to view our show because we realize you could listen to anybody, but you chose to listen to us. Thank you so much. We sincerely hope we've been a blessing to you. Remember to love yourself first, then you can love others. Forgive yourself and forgive others. That's the first step on making you happy. Be sure and train your mind to take care of your brain, and your brain, your mind will take care of you. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.